So, funny story. As
Yes.
I was setting up for this, I was all set up here, and I had my headphones, and I'm here ready. And I realized that my phone is wireless headphones. So I had the ones to plug in, so I'm ready. I'm looking for the plug, but I knew this already.
That's why we're saying WTF universe, like, because that's how
Yes.
the vibe is right now. Like, yeah, that makes sense. That sounds like everyday Abbyisms. Like when my glasses are on my head, and I'm like, "Where are my glasses?" And I'll look for an hour, and then they're on my head.
Yeah. But I don't think that's just a you thing, Abby.
Well, that's very
I
sweet
think
of you.
that's
You're
an
one of my friends.
everyone. That's an everyone thing.
Yeah, that's
Because,
really.
and you know what? I know this is going to sound like, oh, very law of attraction and whatnot. But, it's a perception thing. Like our focus is not, um, we're not perceiving what we're looking for because the focused attention is not on it.
That is, I actually thought of you the other day. I forget what item I was looking for, but I would give my life and say that this object moved. Like I could have bet my life that it was in this one spot. It was like I was cooking or something and had something right there, and then all of a sudden it was like gone. But it was just wild because I knew it was right there, and then I had to go on a scavenger hunt. Like I thought I was losing my marbles, and I thought of you, and I'm like, is this like a timeline thing? What the heck is happening? Like, am I being messed with right now? I knew it was right there, but then all of a sudden it wasn't.
100% happens to me all the time. So much so, so much so that when it happens, I'm like, okay, I get it. It's normal.
I,
This is normal. It's
I
gonna
didn't
show
get it.
up.
I
I
just
know
sat the rabbit hole and
100%
looked
it's
for
gonna
like an
show up.
hour.
I'm
I
I
followed.
I
I just
lost
kept
a wallet.
circling.
I lost a wallet like 3 years ago, and I'm still waiting for it to show up.
That sounds like a different type of problem.
No, because I lost it in the house, and I've looked everywhere in the house, and I don't know. I feel like if I
That's
move or whatever the case may be, I'm
it's
gonna
gonna
find
pop
this
up.
wallet.
It's
And I'm
there.
gonna be
It's
like,
somewhere.
see, I told you. My
Oh my
perception was not on it, hence why it just like disappeared to a different dimension and then came
What?
back.
It gets crazy. I'm telling you, like it's like I just keep picturing this graph, like people think it's just your ascension journey goes like up in like an upward curve, but like I think the graph is like not a full graph. It like goes deeper somehow at the same time. They don't show you the bottom where it goes deeper and deeper and deeper at the same time as it's going up. I think someone's lying about this graph about spirituality.
You know, funny that you mentioned that because I just had a session with the wonderful Rebecca, and
Oh.
that what you're talking about really came through in her session where she called it, her higher self called it glitches, and
Mm.
it it was like this up and down graph, but when it comes to a point, this is how her higher self described it,
Hmm.
when flows go to a point, that's when it glitches because it's not like in the right alignment. Like
Oh.
it's something a part of like the old you or something similar to that. So
What?
her higher self called it like a glitch.
That's
And
so
that's when
interesting. I can
things
kind of
get
visualize
weird.
that. Is there a different glitch that like it's just normal? Because I'm looking for that glitch. Can I have that one? I've got a
What
lot of glitches
is the
going on, and
normal
I just
glitch?
want like a straight linear line graph that just is. Oh, okay, I see it. That makes sense.
So my question to you is when these crazy things happen, because that's how life is. It's just so weird and on top of like normal regular life, you have like dimensional shifts, you have paranormal things, all these crazy things, right?
Hmm.
What do you do, or what do you go back to that kind of makes you feel, I guess, recentered? What is your go-to thing? And it's totally okay. It
Do
could
we
be
ever
like
find
anything.
that thing? I feel like I'm on a perpetual journey of like trying to find that thing. To me, that thing is like balance. But if you're talking on like a realistic day to day, like something that'll just like snap me back to a moment, if that's your question, then it's the normal stuff, like definitely going outside for a walk, or just like I've been really into lately taking it back to such the simple basics, like the cliche stuff that you're like, oh, that's so cliche, but you know it friggin' works anyways, like just breathing, right? I hate when people tell you that when you're like going through a moment, and yet I always say it to someone when they're going through a moment because I believe it. It's just so cliche, but it's been like the thing that has anchored me. And I did a meditation the other day where I just focused on my breath, just counting it, holding it, like breathing in, counting, holding, counting, breathing out, counting. Did that over and over, or some breathing exercises with my fingers on my third eye, left, right nostril breathing stuff. And it was just insane because the whole message of the meditation was just like, look, like the feeling that I got, it was just like, you do the absolute most, like the absolute most to try to come back to the center we're talking about it, or bring yourself back, or to do all these friggin' spiritual quote unquote things, but like it literally is just your breath, and this is what it feels like. And I instantly felt the connection to my higher self, the purples and the green swirls. Literally, it was just like the most blissful, euphoric feeling of just breathing. And it's like, duh, it's literally that simple. The most stupid answer you never want to hear. It's like in my session with you, where it's like, what's my life purpose? Just be you. Oh, okay, that was not helpful, but okay, thanks. I get it too. It is helpful.
Well, for me, it's even simpler than that.
What is it?
100% doing crossword puzzles in my bed alone.
Oh, see, that's too much thinking for me.
Oh, no. Like, I mean, excuse me. Word search.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's too much brain work. I can't even do that when I'm not trying to balance.
Doing a word search and just, you know, like we're always on our phones and looking up stuff. So we're always taking in content. So I feel like doing like a word search in a comfortable place, feeling good, it works for me.
Yeah, you know what I also am super into right now that I think works for me, and I always just forget it can be that easy and fun too, is dancing. Literally dancing, like just
Yeah.
putting on some freaking dope ass music in my living room and just shaking it out. Like, but not trying to follow like a choreograph, not anything. But even if it doesn't even look like dancing, like I find my body will just like do whatever the hell it wants, like weird finger moments, or like even, I don't know, but just after it, I end up feeling like an actual shift. And like half the time after I have this like elated dancing, I'm like crying after. But it's like, I know that it's from the dancing and moving the energy. And it's like in and out. Like once I actually make the space to cry it out, it's like gone. And I feel like a brand new person. And I've done this like a few times with dancing. And I'm just like, but also I'm just so resistant at the same time. Like I know all these things that work, but then I just make my life harder, which is a whole different conversation. But dancing lately has been like my jam, pun intended.
So I had a session with someone, this was like a few years ago, where she really liked to dance. So the higher self actually said that what dancing does, it moves the stagnant energy in your body to the places it needs to move, because, energy needs to circulate. So whenever it's like pent up, it gets stuck somewhere in your body. So as you dance, you're moving that around.
Yeah, and even just using it as a practice to manifest. Like what I've been doing is like trying to visualize, okay, like who would the Abby be that feels so confident, that is like living her best life, that like how would she walk into a room? And like the more you like embrace that and start like dancing the way that person would, it's just like another physical activity to embody like what you're calling into. It's like the bridging of that feeling, of the thought, of the emotion, and the movement all into like one medium. Like dance does it all, and it's freaking so much fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just now, Joel was putting on music, and he said that this is to get you hyped to do your stereo session. And I'm like, it's
Exactly.
working. It's working.
It works. Even like my most meditative thing, actually, I have a better answer to the first question you asked me. If it's not just breathing, like what crossword word search, crossword, whatever it was, is for you. Driving on a beautiful day with my windows rolled down and a song that I'm obsessed with, like on repeat, like just on open road. That's that. I don't know what
I'm
that does to me,
laughing.
but that's like, oh, yes.
I'm laughing because it reminded me, because I know exactly what you mean. I used to, when I did sessions in person, I would get in the car and blast soca music to get me hyped to do a hypnosis session, which is very strange because you have to be like in a meditative state. But for me, I need to get amped up. I need to get really amped up and like really feeling it in order to do that. And one time I drove up to the person's house and she saw me like going crazy in my car. She was like, "What were you doing?"
Having a dance party.
I was like, car. I was listening to soca music, Don't you like do that on your way to work?
Not move.
So I'm on my way to work.
It's a vibe. Me too. That's the best, and especially if it's a nice day and the sunroof's open, your windows are open, and you're just like, yeah, I don't care who sees me on the road. I have no shame, just like jamming my heart out driving, like singing at the top of my lungs, hair blowing, just like this. This is it. This is it right now for me. Like, I understand why dogs stick their head out the window. People are like, don't. Like, why do you do that? I'm like, oh, I know exactly why. That's like my best life. Like, I'm jealous of the dog.
But yeah, man, I don't know if it's just me or you, but the first few months of 2021 have been just like WTF. What is going on? As much as you try to like center yourself and stay focused and be in the law of attraction, you're still like, why am I attracting all of this crazy right now?
God, like,
what is going on?
I keep saying, like, 2020 for me, it was like this perfect ideal. Like, it was like I got a taste of like this life I'm creating and like this future self, and it was beautiful. And I'm like, this is what it's like. That means my quote unquote spirituality is working, and like, nothing's touching me because I'm positive and blah blah blah. But 2021 came, and I was like, oh, okay, I think my years were mixed up. Everyone was talking shit about 2020, but for me, 2021 though, what happened? I think it was like like literally slapped me in the face January 1st, 2021. Like, okay.
No, 100%. 100%. That's how I felt. Like I got punched in the face on January 1st, and it was like, hey, this is the lesson you have to learn. Smack, smack, smack. And go out there. Go get them, Tiger. And you're like, what? What just happened? Like,
I was like,
what
go
am I
where
supposed to be
do
doing?
what? I still don't know any of this. I've been on a freaking journey for 3 years. Go where and do what? I still don't know. But now I actually don't know, and I'm sad about it on January 1st. Like, it was just all my emotions felt like they got sucked out of me. And it was just like that depressive state. And it was like every old pattern I have. Yeah, albeit I could now see them. Cool. But it's also like, yeah, I see them, but I'm still doing them. So I'm now just even more aggravated. Before I didn't see them or know them, so I didn't care. Now, when I was living my best life, I saw them. I was acting and taking inspired action and doing things differently. So that was better. That felt good. That was growth. But 2021 came. I'm like, nope, they're back. I see them, and I can't literally change it or do anything with myself. I just keep repeating them.
And honestly, in the moments like when you're really like in the situation, it's not funny. It's very sad and depressing. But when you take a step back and just see your life as if you're watching a movie, all sometimes you could do is kind of laugh because you cannot believe some of the stuff that kind of happens, and they happen like back to back, and you're like,
girl,
what? When it rains, it pours, and that's how I felt. I feel like I'm getting out of it now, so I can see the lights at the end of the tunnel. I'm not at the end of the tunnel, but I could see it.
I was like, could you send some flares up my way, please?
I'm gonna have the road flares waiting for you, Abby.
Yeah. Morse code flares, whatever. Just some help, SOS for me, please. Yeah, it's no joke. It's no joke. And it's been one thing after the other, and it's like hard to keep your head above water. That's what I was saying, because it's one thing when you have awareness to recognize it, and okay, cool, it's part of the journey. I can see it from a larger picture. But like you said, when you're in it, and then add in like some of those old patterns, like I was talking about, like seeing that you're getting yourself back, not getting yourself back, but you're sliding a little bit back into a depressive state, or then this like raging anger, or then anxiety, like to a level that I couldn't even explain. Like there were, I've never experienced anxiety where I could be talking to TC or my boyfriend, right? And literally, all I hear in my head is like, I'm thinking that he's just going to die with no rhyme or reason. Just the most irrational, like I couldn't even make sense of some of the anxiety things that would just pop into my head that's never happened to me before. Like I just constantly thought he was going to die. I thought someone was going to, like, it was just all of these weird things. But it's like I was beating myself up though, because I'm like, I've met anxiety before in my past life, right? That I like to call my past life like this in this life right now, where it's like I feel like I dealt with anxiety, felt like I danced with depression, felt like I've worked with self-sabotage, and I did so much, but how am I back here? And it feels even deeper and worse now. Like that's what 2021 felt like. Like I feel like more angry at myself, more enraged with myself, more like I regressed. And it's like, how do you pull yourself out of feeling like that way when you're in it? Like, I think we all talk about feeling that way, but like, I genuinely am like, okay, well, I couldn't even tell you how I got here to my own path 3 years ago. And I still am like, how did I do that? So I could just do that again when I feel that way, but I genuinely don't know.
When what was my question? You said you feel worse than you did back then. Do you feel that you feel worse because you are aware of a different way now?
Ooh, that's what I think the key is. I think I feel, worse because it's that level of awareness that I know what I'm feeling, where before I didn't. And then the level of not being able to make a different decision or doing the same things before. And now I just am watching myself do them, and I'm aware I'm doing them, yet I'm still doing them. So it just adds that layer of like, WTF, Abby? WTF, universe? Like, why?
Now, my next question to you would be, because this has happened to me, do you feel like there is like a triple consciousness going on, in the sense that you have the ego side where well, let me put it this way: you have the ego side, and then you have a second ego, but like that middleman saying, I know better, but I'm here right now. And then you have the higher self.
100%. 100%. Yes.
So you have the person that's like sad, angry, or whatever, and then you have the middle consciousness where you are acknowledging that you're sad or angry, but you know the path that you should be taking, but you're not doing it. So you're having this other thoughts, and then you have the higher self where it's just like straight all no.
Yeah, and that's like the question, right? So that middle one, if you're not your thoughts and you're thinking that, and you have that level of awareness to know you're not that sadness and you're not that higher self, then what is that the I am? Like, what is that middle part?
Whoa, I have another theory. Here's another theory. Do you think, because time isn't linear, and every time you make a decision, you split into a different timeline. Do you think that middle ground of Abby, or one of those consciousnesses, can be an alternate universe of Abby's mind that made a different decision?
Whoa. Whoa.
This is why I want to have these talks, to kind of like theorize on these cool concepts and stuff.
Whoa. Did you just come up with that?
Yes.
That's insane. I never even thought of it like that. I think you just like broke something in my brain. Like, like what?
So I have a video coming out.
So.
I have a video coming out in the future. I don't want to give too much away, but the higher self did talk about parallel universes and you and how you kind of visit yourself in certain timelines to see what decisions you should be making to get like reference.
That is dope. Well, and on the same fashion, I think it's also interesting that a lot of times we always talk about like our future self and our higher self, and just from a level of consciousness that's higher that can see all aspects, it's all knowing. That's great, but we always forget to like the past versions of ourselves and the potential in going back and visiting and fixing and adjusting and healing that too. And I don't know why that popped into my mind, but like, for example, with Reiki, it's not just about like self-healing now or in the future. You can literally work in past timelines, past lives, past anything, and go back to your past selves to kind of fix that same trajectory. So I don't know why that just popped into my mind, but I like looking at different angles that a lot of people don't talk about, like the future self is like so popular right now in spirituality, right? But it's like, well, what if that's possible, then so is the opposite end of that same spectrum. Why don't we talk about that? Like, what are theories around that?
So here's another theory that Joel, my husband, he brought up a while back, but we circled back on it recently. And it was when you go to sleep and you have like really lucid dreams, are you awakening into either a different dimension or are you awakening as a different person in a different timeline?
Whoa. what's his opinion?
That's his theory, because he feels that he's had very intense dreams where he was that person. So that was his theory, where he asked me about it. Like, is this possible? And I told him, I was like, well, in this universe, actually, anything is possible.
Yeah. He thought did he feel like himself, just in like a different person, or he felt like a completely different person?
Yes.
He felt like his soul, like he knew it was him, and he just knew it wasn't in this body that he's used to when he went to bed.
I think so. I know he was viewing it from his perspective. So it wasn't like, oh, you're seeing the scene from outside of you. No, he was in this character and experiencing everything as this person. I don't know to what degree, if he felt like it was him or what the case may be, but he brought up that as a good point.
That's amazing, actually.
These are the
that's
type
like
of conversations.
So your work, though, yeah, like that's really tied into your work, which I find interesting, though. Like, just in terms of even like a past life, or maybe like is that like a soul memory while you're in this lifetime, like a memory of your soul that when you go to sleep you can access a different part of your, I don't know, like, but it sounds like the same kind of concept of, if you believe you've lived all these lives, I'm sure we store everything, take everything with us. So that's an interesting question. Like, how can we intentionally kind of tune into these different past lives while going to sleep or awake, or not just through hypnosis, but like intentionally do that?
I know I've done sessions in the past where people were tethered to other beings in different planets, because it takes light years to get to this one. By the time one of them passes away, their soul is already in a different body. So they still had that tether. And they were these two beings at the same time.
You are, wow. I was not prepared for these. My mind is like, whoa. You're dropping some things on me right now that are going to have my wheels spinning throughout the night. I might be lucid dreaming with your husband tonight, like, after this conversation. Like, what?
So my question to you, I mean, I've thrown a bunch of different questions your way, but this one's going to be more relevant to you in the sense that, let's say there's an Abby in a different timeline, in maybe like a past Abby, literally like a few moments before, maybe like a day or a week. What is something that you would like to tell her now to help her with whatever decisions she's going to make in the next few days? Or what is some like good advice?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I'm trying to think of the word that's popping into my mind. It's taking me a second, but I've been going back with this idea.
I threw so many mind bombs at you. So.
You really did. My mind was not prepared for this level of thinking today. But there is an answer I have, because I was really just thinking about this, even just like my younger self. Like I thought about this question the other day, which is even interesting. You're asking me this. I'm talking about like if I could tell an Abby in college or in high school, like a piece of advice, and just it's the for lack of, I can't think of the word. I came up with the word when I asked myself this question, but it's like this non-attachment to anything, because just like lately, this is like maybe even another theory, and I don't know how my thoughts are going to bleed here, but like my memory as I'm getting older, not just because of age, but like I'm just realizing the non-attachment again, because I can't figure out the word I'm trying to say, but it's like it all means everything in the moment you make decisions, whatever age, time, whatever. But then later it means nothing, if you will, if that makes sense. Like it's all so ever changing that it's like if I could go back and tell myself, like, don't even waste any time, like another minute, second worrying about that, thinking of all the outcome, all that stuff. Like right now it feels like the world, but you're not even going to remember this like in a week, in a year, when you're 36, when you're in a different life. Like it'll all like still go the way it's planned and intended to go, but it's like that perspective of it. It all is everything and nothing at the same time is like the only way I can try to explain what I'm trying to say, if that makes any sense.
Yes, you just summed up the whole universe. It's everything, nothing, all in one.
We've got a
so
message.
We've got a message. Let's play it.
Do you think time is going too fast that your mind won't keep up with what's going on, and that's why memory seems to not catch up to everything that's going on?
I think my brain, it didn't catch up to the question.
So, funny that you say that, because I actually have a video coming out about that, because I was curious about this time speeding up. It's like you feel like we just had New Year's, or it just turned a new year, or a different month, or a week, day. And one of the things that the higher self said with the client was that ascension energy is hitting the earth, and it's more intense than it was ever before. And we're equating that to time speeding up. We feel the energy, we feel that anxious thing. So we are equating it to time. So time is really a mental perspective. We can slow it down. How? I don't know. But
I was going to ask you. I was like, girl, please tell me how. Like,
I don't have that answer. Okay. That would be my next question. But yeah, that's a good question. Thanks, babe.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. Thanks for being a ride or die right now. Thank you. It's a great question, and it's one I wish I even had a theory or an answer, because I genuinely don't know. Part of me is like, is this like an age thing because I'm getting older and this is a normal like body human like thing, or it doesn't feel that way though. Like it could be a little ounce of that, but it doesn't feel that way intuitively to me. It's like something's happening.
Interesting that you mentioned age, because during that same conversation about speeding up time, the person also said that, humans have different programs in their system. Everybody's different. And age is a program that you can either not remove, but I guess if we're talking in computer terms, like code it in a certain way that you're not aging as rapidly as you want, or like most people feel. So you can write out that program a different way.
Is that when I say Neo, or like what you used to say when he needed to
I know Kung Fu.
What do I have to say to do that?
I'm gonna write that program in. I know Kung Fu. No, wait. You're taking Taekwondo, so you actually wrote that program in.
That's crazy. That's crazy. No, Taekwondo is reinforcing that I'm 36. Actually, it's reinforcing the old program. My knees are like, ow. My body's like, ow.
We need to like retype that out. We got to get rid of that.
Yeah, you let me know how to do that, and I think that's is that the blue pill or the red one? I'm not sure anymore.
I don't know. Just take both. See which one works best.
Jeez. That was a great question though about like time. It really, and it's like compounding though, because I used to joke about it even like a year ago where I was like starting to feel it like, okay. But yeah, since 2021, it's just like it's compounded. It just feels like you blink. It's in its relativity maybe, but it's like the days are gone in an instant. I even joked with TC the other day and I was like, I joked about weather and time. Weather specifically because in New England, yeah, it's a running joke that the weather changes. Like it could be snowing 1 minute, whatever. But there was a day last week, it was like 4 days in a row and it was like 60, 70, beautiful. And then this one random, literally for 20 minutes on a 65-degree day, it was all of a sudden this magical winter snowstorm, like magical, like with these fake puffy, like where you could actually see like the shape of the snow. It looked like just manufactured snowflakes and like literally this weird storm that happened so quickly. And I was like, babe, do you think like you've seen the Truman Show before, right? Do you think that this weather could be like manufactured or the tempered with, or it's not like like somehow I don't know. He's like, you need to go to sleep. Just like go to sleep, drink some water, and it's gonna be okay. And I love you. And don't tell anyone that. And I was like, okay, but still, time and weather. I'm just like, something's up, man.
I don't doubt that time weather is manipulated. I don't doubt that. But I do also think that people don't realize the amount of power that they actually have that they can actually affect the weather. So, for example, like you said in New England and here in New York, it is the same way. In New York, you need to have a canoe. You need to have rain boots, snow boots, shorts, a parka. Just
a canoe.
all just to make sure that you cover all of your bases.
It's wild.
You know? And I think it's because there's so much variety in a place like New York that there's different consciousnesses. It's just kind of crazy. And that's the environment that New York is in. The weather is just as crazy as sometimes people.
That's fact. That's drop the mic. That's fact. I have no rebuttal. That's just fact.
We have another question here, I think. Yeah.
What happens if you take both pills?
Weather is manipulated. I don't doubt that. But I do also think. Okay, so you're going to have to ask that question again since we were talking. If you're listening.
Yeah, I missed the question. Did we play it? I'm trying to find where it is.
Let's see. Nope, it went away. Oh no, it's here.
Hi, E-Pill. 612.
Look at Abby giving a shout out. Well, this is our first time on stereo, so you have to bear with us. So if you can, please ask the question again, and we will play it. But back to crazy people.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about me? That checks out.
So, I was kind of doing some Mr. Miyagi on you a little bit earlier because I was asking you all
Were
those.
you washing on or off? I'm not sure.
A little bit of both. A little bit
of
both. I was asking you all these mind-blowing questions for you to think and kind of like get your mind bended like a pretzel. And the reason why is not only because I was curious, but also to get your focus off of whatever was going on at the moment temporarily, so then in hopes that moving forward everything works out best.
Look at you just doing some Jedi mind tricks, and it works. I was like, what? All the crazy stuff that happened today didn't happen because I'm just feeling so high vibe right now. I'm like, what? Like I talked about, I already forgot about it. I don't know. We
All
didn't
you
get an
need
answer if
is
I'm
a moment, like a moment of distraction in a good way, not just distraction in like whether you're harming yourself or anything like that. Not those kinds of distractions. We want something more positive, something that makes you feel good, in order to like reset the vibe that has been creating the clusterfuck of things that's happening in life right now.
Is it like, do you know other people? Like, are you talking to people in your circles? Is it like a theme and a pattern you're noticing right now? Because I think it's interesting. Like, obviously, you and I were friends. So I always find in my friend circles and my family circles, it makes sense for a lot of the same energies to like, or themes to come up. And that makes sense. But have you gone beyond to talk like to someone you don't talk to typically every day or other people just in general? Or is this, like, I'm
I
just trying
have
to figure out if
not.
it's a me and you and a friend type thing, or like, is this a collective? Like, are people feeling this? Like, is this a thing where we can all say something's happening?
I have not in particular because when I'm going through something, I like to stay in my bubble because I don't want it to spread. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I like to become like a hermit and just like take it all in, observe things, ask myself questions. What lessons do I have to learn? What is going on? And handle actual things with what's going on until I get to a place like, okay, I got control of the steering wheel now. We're going straight for a little bit. I think now I can like turn on the radio and
You
listen to
have a
people
steering
and
wheel.
talk
See,
to.
the universe was like, nope, you get into a car accident, Abby. No car. You get no steering wheel. That's the type of stuff the universe be throwing at me lately.
Yeah, you have a like kitchen sink stuff going on where everything but the kitchen sink.
You know, it's crazy though. You're right though. That's the whole lesson though. In fairness, it's like how you react, because even when you're in the muck of the kitchen sink, it's like at least I can genuinely say at this point in time, if any one of these things, there's been like 8 things in the past 4 months, 5 months that have happened that are like drastic, big, pay attention to things. But if it were any other time besides right now, my reactions would have been completely different. Like victim instantly, like temper tantrum instantly, like all or nothing kind of mindset, black and white thinking instantly. So like it doesn't, I always go like in between what I'm trying to say, like with cliches, because it's like, what can you do with the information? Even it's kind of shittier now because it's like I know that I react differently. I'm proud of my growth. I can have the level of awareness to know what's up, but it doesn't change how you still feel like in the moment. So how do we like what's next? Okay, great. We can know that we would have reacted a different way. Great. We know we have that level of awareness. Great. We know it's for a reason. But yeah, like I don't have a car. I don't have a job. My mom's in the hospital. I didn't have hot water for a month. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, all
Mm-hmm.
that's great. But like I still live here on this earth and like there are real things going on. And it's so great that I know all this stuff, but still crying every day, still know it's for the greater good, but still emotional every day. Still like, what is the point of life having an existential crisis? But like, I know it's greater out there. I believe in all these things. I'm doing the things. I'm meditating. I'm walking. I'm washing the dishes, doing crossword puzzles, doing whatever. You know, it could be from meditating to dancing to doing dishes. Okay, cool. Like it's like a checklist now almost, and it feels like this level of ascension or this energy that's happening is like asking us to like do something differently. It's like, oh, y'all got too
Yes.
used to this one way, and I'm gonna switch it up on you, like cosmically. So
That's
now we're
exactly
trying
what
to
I was
figure it
going
out.
to say.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That I think 2020 was the end of the old ways of doing things, and that 2021 is going to be the new way of the new life of doing things. So, and it doesn't necessarily have to deal with like just COVID itself, but COVID forced you to be within, literally within. So now you have to do things differently for yourself as well.
That's exactly. I think it's happened. I think that brought it out, but it's like a cosmic from the universal level down to like your everyday life. And I think that's where it gets a little bit bumpy and confusing because it's easier to always look at the outside and yeah, it's reflected in the world. It's a mess. It's been a mess. But then you're like, wait a second. Now it's also in the four walls of my house and it's like in my body. And it's like, wait, I'm not used to all this. And you know, what does that mean for the last 3 years I've been on this journey? Now, like I woke up today. That's what I was saying, that non-attachment to anything, right? Because it's like also that spiritual ego that kicks in. We all talk about like the ego and, you know, working with it or letting it go, whatever. But then it kicks in like, yeah, I can handle anything because I'm a spiritual person and I have a positive attitude and whatever. But it's like, no, you know, just when you think you know something, it's, you know, this energy swoops in to be like, no, nope. That's not it either. Pick another door.
Yeah. So I hate to break the news to you, but like I've been doing this for about 8 years now. This whole idea of like awakening that people like to call it. And there's always like the really high ups and then there's the really downs, right? But once you get moving, um, you're going to look back, maybe not right now, but you're going to look back and you're going to say, I learned this, and that about myself during this situation. It's not really, it doesn't feel that way now, like I said, but you will reach that point. You're going to have that aha moment. Hopefully soon, maybe after this conversation. I'm praying for you. I'm 100% on your side. But there's going to be that moment where, like, wow, if I didn't go through this, I probably wouldn't know how to do this with myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think the underarching thing in all of this, something that's been coming up a lot lately, is this question about authenticity, right? That's such a word that also gets thrown around in like spiritual communities and just everyday life and self-development, etc. But I started thinking about like what is actual authenticity? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on it because what I came to realize like the other day when I was pondering on this, it's like it's authenticity to me is like in this journey I'm realizing it's all the parts of you. It's like you, like we talked about in a different conversation, like our bodies physically change, our cells change, our DNA changes. Like we quite literally aren't the same physical body in day to day, year to year, like that we couldn't even, why would we ever think that anything else would be the same if our physical body that we live in is different, right? So the parts of authenticity is like there, it's the awareness. It always comes down in this journey to awareness and perspective to say, okay, I didn't even know that this part is now coming up to show itself. I was unconscious to this part of, let's call it anger or whatever emotion. Like if I didn't even know that existed and that's coming up to be seen, like that's authenticity. Is that anger is as much me and who my true self is that then that joy is, or like all the, you know, fluffy duffy parts of the spiritual journey and all the euphoria of the spiritual journey. But authenticity is like I'm aware of this new part of me and I want to explore that and I want to see what it's here to tell me. And it's not always like the pretty glitzy glammy stuff, but nonetheless it's still you. So how are you authentic to yourself to one, recognize these different variations of what make you in every second, every moment, bringing it to present because we're ever changing and evolving physically, spiritually, emotionally. And therefore, that's why I brought up the question, like, so then how do you ever truly just be authentic if you're never actually the same moment to moment? Who are you authentic to? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's such a conundrum.
So
yes, I use the word conundrum. I don't know why. But
me personally, I don't like to use the word authentic. I'm a person of like, I like to choose kind of how I word my words to make sure they, vibrate high. I don't like to use authentic. I like to replace it with truth. Like, what's my truth? Because authentic to me feels, it feels like the word authentic is kind of generated by what other people think is authentic. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like a visual in my head that it's a definition on how everyone else sees what authentic is. But in reality, I like to use truth. What is my truth? how do I want to live my life? If I want to be angry right now, guess what? I'm going to be angry right now. But I'm aware that I'm not going to stay there very long because it's not going to benefit me vibrationally. So from anger, I might move to blame, to then move to complacent, to then maybe joy or appreciation. I can't go from being desperate to happy because that's going 0 to 60, and emotions don't work that way. You kind of have to climb the ladder. So I like to remove the word authentic from the equation and just be. Be who you want to be in that moment. If you're angry, hey, be angry. Just know not to dwell in that negative energy for too long. Especially if you're very
so true. I love it.
especially if you're very aware of yourself. If you know yourself well enough, I mean, you grew up with yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're the longest friend you've ever had.
True.
So you know where you need to be.
Yeah,
And
love that principle.
every space, every step you're taking is the right. You're always in the right space.
It's crazy. It's like I love what you're saying, and so I hope so many people get to hear what you're saying, because I always struggle. So we have like a podcast, The Shitty Side of Spirituality, because it's these exact conversations. Like, so often you hear people, number one, it's this idea of toxic positivity, right? Like, it's, oh, I can be angry, but then I'm just going to jump to euphoria. No, that's not realistic, and it sets people up for going on this journey with false expectations, or then they judge themselves because they're not where they think they should be, and they have all these ideas of etc., instead of just the focus of being, like you said. And it also plays into so many other levels of, like, kind of what the spiritual community kind of puts out there sometimes, intentional or not, but like the whole idea about eating, like being vegan or not, or having caffeine or not, or doing yoga or not. And it's like all these rules and restrictions, or like jump 3 times and pat your head and say your intention, or like only put moon water out but only from like this time or not, or what I mean? It's like all these like ritualistic things. And like ultimately it comes down, no matter what you could insert in my examples, and I took it to the extreme there, but the premise is whatever you choose is right for you. It's spiritual. Like your spiritual essence, like you are spirituality. It's not like something you do or you have to make a choice about, like in terms of what you're going to eat. Like you are it. Whatever you choose to do is for a reason, for your path. Like that's
Absolutely
the whole gamut.
You're the universe experiencing itself in physical form. So it's experiencing how it wants to feel about spirituality, how it wants to make a decision, whether you need or not, how your body feels. It's just ever expanding.
It's so true. It's
So
like
there's no right
that's
or
the trick.
wrong
I sometimes
way to
feel like
do this.
it's a trick. Life is like a trick where it's like the answers are so obvious that you don't think that they're the answers. So we overcomplicate it. Like that's how I feel.
Like, is that a trick question?
Yeah.
You mean living this human life? Is that a trick question? What's the deal here? I'm too happy right now. And the deal is you're supposed to be happy. That's the deal. That's the overall goal. Be happy.
Yeah, man. Snapping. It's like
Yes.
so hard, so easy, but so hard. That's the funny part. It's like, geez.
I used to tell this to, I don't know if it was Joelle or I don't know who it was, but I always said that life is easy, but sometimes people make it hard.
And you could replace that sentence with life is easy and Abby makes it hard. Because I'm one of those people.
And that's when I say people, I'm including myself. I am people. Sometimes I can make it hard for myself
what's
too.
so funny though? I actually came to this realization. It's all fun and games until we really are powerful manifestors, and our words, like you said, they are alchemy, right? You can attract your words. So be careful what you say, because I always used to joke all the time, like self-flat, like whatever it's called when you make fun of yourself, or joking. And I used to say, yeah, if it's easy, then I'm gonna do it complicated, and always say that. And I would purposely end up in situations that were very difficult when they didn't have to be. And last week I said that to someone. I actually caught myself saying that. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to say that anymore, because I feel like the more that I'm saying that, even if it's a joke and in good high vibe energy, there's actually a limiting belief deep inside of me that's coming out subconsciously when I'm saying that, that's attracting these situations. So I'm going to change what I'm saying. And like in the last few weeks, like I've changed and reversed that saying, and things happen so easily. Like that's the craziest part. Like once you can actually catch yourself and change it. And the funny part is we're humans and our mind doesn't believe it, because even though I saw it working, just like anytime I manifest something intentionally and I see it work, my mind is blown every time. I'm like, no way. I didn't manifest that. No, I didn't. Just because I changed my words, that didn't happen. I've been on this journey for 3 years, and every single time it happens. How many times do I text you, Ariana, and I'm like, you wouldn't believe this. And you're like, but I do. Because like I do this for work, and I also tell you all the time.
I've like witnessed your higher self talk to you, telling you 100% it's real.
Yes. Yeah. But it's still mind blowing each time.
No, it's always going to be like so fascinating, because then that's the magic of life. It's supposed to kind of be fun and fascinating too. You know, life without color sometimes would be kind of boring, right?
Yes.
It's like going to an art gallery and all the canvases are white and blank, and there's nothing there. And you're like, well, what's the fun in this?
I feel like that could make it in New York, though. Side note, like I feel like there's something like that exists, and you're supposed to.
You know what? I agree. It's a white canvas,
I wanted to be
and
with
there's
you on
just
that analogy, but now if it doesn't
white
exist,
paint on it.
That actually sounds fun to me.
And people in New York would go.
Yeah, exactly. I think
just because I would probably be like, I have to see this for myself. Like, is this what's going on here? We have a message, and we're gonna play it.
What is your go-to saying when it comes to being very positive or trying to uplift someone else's spirits? What is something that you would tell them that is extremely positive and you think they would get a good reaction out of it?
Oh, that's a great question, because the other day I told Rebecca, one of my clients, that I told her that I had this great affirmation that she should go with. She was like, okay, I'm ready. She had like her pen and paper or whatever, and I said, fuck it. And the reason why is sometimes you just need to let it go. And that's something that I have to tell myself personally, because sometimes I need to let it go. So that's my affirmation. Whether someone else like can, vibe with that, that's great. But that's something that I use, and I've told many people that that's my go-to affirmation.
I love it.
Because sometimes, what else can you do?
I've used that one about 18 times today. That's a great question. I think one of my all-time favorite quotes, just like in terms of like realizing the power of your mind, is nothing is impossible. Even the word itself says I'm possible. Like anytime I hear that quote, it's like, whoa. Even the word itself, like it's all your perception. You can read it as impossible. And if you're looking at it that way, then it will be impossible. But even the word itself, if you split it out, says I'm possible. Your mind can literally create realities in different universes and different timelines. Yeah. Like it's possible. All you have to do is believe it and see it.
One affirmation that I like to use when I'm in a situation where I feel like there's like negative energy, or I just need to like take a deep breath, or whatever is going on, is I release all negative energy and move forward with ease. And I've used that for years now. And it's almost kind of like a little chant when you need to take a deep breath, step outside for a minute, just repeat it over and over and over. I release all negative energy and I move forward with ease. And energy and move forward with ease. And it feels like a calm. That's for me. It feels like a calm has just, okay, I'm starting fresh.
I love quotes as well as affirmations. I also, anyone listening, there's an amazing affirmation book called 365 Days to Self-Prosperity. I recommend that book, definitely. But for quotes too, I think one that I always remind myself of, or anyone I'm talking to who might be going through a difficult time and feeling this way, you know, we title this WTF Universe, right? So this one is very relevant. And it says, we're like the moon that goes through different phases. Sometimes we're full and sometimes we're just a sliver of ourselves, right? Like, and that always gets me too, because sometimes you can be so hard on yourself, like in the times that are just so dark, like when the moon is out. But then you realize like you're still whole and complete, even when you're that sliver, you're always the moon still. So it just gives you that little bit of hope, you know?
That was a good one.
Yeah, I love
Both
it.
the ones that you mentioned, like super powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, those are
I
my
have
go-to.
nothing to say. That was just like really
Those
good.
are my go-to. If you ask me that question again, I would say those two things. They're my two go-to. When I need a little like confidence boost and inspiration, I'm possible. And when I'm feeling a little dark and down, we're like the moon. We all go through phases.
Let me see. How are we doing on time?
We have been
Pretty
on
good.
for
Anyone else have any questions for Abby and I before we start wrapping it up here? This was awesome. We have to
Hi,
do this
Michael
again.
I don't know how to tell if we have a question. Hi, Michael. We're trying to figure this out. We're new here.
How are you seeing it?
If you do the little 3 dots by the headphones that show.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're giving shout outs. Cool.
Click on the head. Yeah.
Shout outs to Mac Lantern.
Yeah. Like the name.
Shout out to Mansion Artists. Who else do we have on here? Beepill. Deep Rich Thinker.
And I think we have
I Glow Green.
Well, speaking of green, I started listening to Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, which I know, but the whole premise of his book is about the universe when it gives you green lights, and that's what I like about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're always getting green lights and red lights. Yeah. And even sometimes yellow lights. So like, whoa, slow down.
Yeah.
The yellow lights, I feel, come in the form of being really tired.
Oh.
That for me. They come in that form, like, okay, here's a yellow light. I'm letting you know right now that you don't want me to stop this, this train.
You don't want me to make it a red light. You want to stop yourself. You don't want to make it, or you don't want to make me be a red light for you.
Exactly.
I think I learned the hard way. I think we have a little message.
Okay.
If you were to match your spirituality with a celebrity, who would it be?
What? So is your question well, this is how I interpret it in my head. Like, if my higher self had a voice of a celebrity, what would it be like? Or how, like, the personality would be? Is that the question that you're asking? Because if that's it, I would say it's a comedian, but I'm not sure which one yet. I still have to ponder on that. But I know my higher self is like super hilarious, and I get annoyed sometimes because I'm like, really?
Oh, that's such a good question. Dang, my brain. But you know what? The first thing that popped into my mind, I'm going to go with that, is I would love it to be something like Gina Rodriguez, or AKA like Jane the Virgin, if you've ever seen that. Like, I would just love like that whole show to be like how my higher self talks to me. And even like you'll notice in the show, like when she gets really excited about something, they have like a little glow around her heart that like shows that it's glowing, and they have like all these like hidden little spiritual like messages in like the whole show. And I just think it's hilarious, and I would want like my heart to glow when I'm excited, or to be really obvious when I don't like something the way it is in the show. Like my whole life to be a telenovela, basically. That would be amazing.
I feel like my higher self is like, I'm hilarious in my own head. So I think I'm just my crazy self in my head. I can't
in my
explain
real
it.
person, in my real form, and like a human, I think I'm hilarious. And I think in my head, my higher self is like the emoji of the smiley face that just blinks at you blankly and stares at you, because it's just like I think I'm so funny already that they're just like, okay.
Okay, let's see.
Have you ever seen a scene from a TV show that you felt like played out exactly the way your life is right now? And if so, which show would it be?
I really like your movie references because we're huge movie buffs. We're huge movie TV show buffs. So my life in a movie scene. It depends on what part of your life. Because
Yeah.
I know in the beginning of my like awakening journey, it was just like I don't know the exact scene, but I know there's a tons of movies just like this where you're just walking in the rain. It's pouring rain, it's dark, it's thundering, and you're just walking crying.
Yeah.
And that was like the beginning of
Yeah.
my journey. But then when my husband and I got together, it just felt like a romantic comedy because he just couldn't. The things that were happening were just like, what?
Right now, I don't know what they are, but every like movie that has like weird, like when they're trying to be overcompensating for what the spiritual community looks, and they have like weird people like walking on fire and howling at the moon. And right now, I'm in a period of my life over the last 3 years where I've tried like everything physically possible to a human on a path that you're just like, oh, what? Like every stereotype you could imagine that they put in movies, like I've tried it and probably been that person like doing something really weird just to try it out. And also, the other scene comes to mind is like Bridesmaids, like a lot of scenes, especially when she's on the plane and she's like, "Help me, I'm poor." Like right now, that's how I feel.
So, you know what's something funny that it reminded me of? So, when I do hypnosis sessions like with you, I think of myself like from Back to the Future um, as Doc Brown, and then you're Marty.
Let me guess. He's gonna ask another movie question. We have another
Probably. Let's see.
Right now, exactly right now at this moment.
Oh.
Okay, so I think what he's asking is that if right now was like a movie moment, what would it be? I still think it's like Doc Brown and Marty.
I haven't seen a movie recently that would capture where I'm at right now, but anything where someone's just like, what the fuck happened to my life, that would be sufficient. So you can tell me what movie you think, but any movie that pretty much they're just looking out the window in an existential crisis, like now what? That would be me right now.
Well, anything else you would like to add, Abby, before we begin wrapping this up?
No, this was great. This was a blast. Thank you for everyone who tuned in and listened. We hope to see you back, and thank you for all the questions. I'll be studying up on my movie game, so I'll be prepared next time.
I 100% think you need to be prepared because you're going to get some movie related questions for our upcoming video series where um, me, you, and Heather are
Yeah.
on YouTube. So for
Yeah.
anyone watching who is not following our YouTube channel, you can follow the Realm of Prosperity or New Age Coach.
Yes, ma'am.
So we will try to do this as a weekly Sunday chat. And if anyone has any topics or anything that they would like to um, recommend in the future, feel free to reach out to me on my website, theromanprosperity.com, and send me an email. And we will talk to everyone soon.
Yes, have a
Wishing
great night.
everyone, what is it, Abby? What are we wishing everyone? Abundance, love, and
prosperity. I'm doing your hand motion.